Remember, we've got her, and she's the most ruthless scum of us all.
Netflix isn't playing around anymore. Their fantasy lineup feels darker, sharper, and more cinematic than ever. And with a brand new #1 that just dropped and is already being called a modern masterpiece, here are the 10 you need to watch. Number 10, Cursed.
Who knows about this?
Some fantasy retellings whisper, Cursed arrived determined to roar. Based on the graphic novel by Frank Miller and Tom Wheeler, this lone season reimagining of Arthurian myth shifts the perspective to Nimue, long before she becomes the tragic lady of the lake. Catherine Langford plays her with wounded steel, navigating a world where magic is hunted, faith becomes a blade, and destiny doesn't feel heroic, it feels heavy. The show mixes mist-drenched forests, witch hunters, and whispered prophecy with the messy ache of young leadership, grief, power, sacrifice. It was canceled after one season, leaving fans hungry for the story it was building toward. A rebellion, a legend being born, the sword still thirsting, short-lived, flawed, but ambitious enough to linger. Cursed feels like the prologue to a myth half remembered. Number 9, The Letter for the King.
You will become
A fantasy quest built for viewers who miss the sense of wonder in old-school adventure tales. The Letter for the King only ran for 6 episodes, but it still manages to feel like a full journey. Equal parts coming-of-age story, mythic prophecy, and classic heroes test. Amir Wilson stars as Turi, a squire who never expected greatness, suddenly forced into a world of destiny, danger, and ancient magic when a dying knight lays a kingdom's fate on his shoulders. It's knights, mountain trials, secret powers, and looming war, but with a youthful earnestness that sets it apart from darker fantasy worlds. Not every swing lands, but the sweeping backdrops, heartfelt performances, and old-world charm make this one an underrated binge for fans who love quests with heart. Number 8, Legacies.
So it's a girl who just lit her ex on fire.
Legacies takes the supernatural teen drama formula and gives it a new generation of fangs, witches, and werewolves. Set in the Vampire Diaries universe, the series follows Hope Mickelson, the world's first tribrid born from vampire, werewolf, and witch bloodlines, as she navigates life at the Salvatore School for the young and gifted. Over 4 seasons and 68 episodes, the show leans into Monster of the Week fun, while building emotional arcs about identity, legacy, and the pressure of carrying power you never asked for. It's a mix of magic lessons, messy teen romances, ancient curses, and occasional crossover surprises from franchise favorites. And while its tone stays lighter than its predecessors, Legacy still knows when to break hearts, raise stakes, and remind fans why this universe has lasted so long. Number 7, Invisible City.
Serem encontrados.
Invisible City brings Brazilian folklore to life in a way fantasy fans rarely get to see. Over 2 seasons, before Netflix ultimately closed the book, the series follows Eric, an environmental detective whose grief pulls him into a hidden world where river spirits walk among humans, witches sing you to sleep, and forest guardians burn with ancient fire. What starts as a grounded mystery quickly unravels into something mythic, blending real-world tragedy with supernatural roots that run deep into cultural legend. It's moody, atmospheric, and full of creatures you've probably never encountered in Western fantasy. And even though it wrapped after just 12 episodes, the show leaves behind a world that feels haunting, mystical, and quietly powerful, the kind that lingers long after the final scene fades. Number 6, Lockwood and Company.
George.
Lockwood and Company might be one of Netflix's most quietly beloved fantasy series, and one of its most painful cancellations. Across 8 tightly crafted episodes, it drops you into an alternate modern-day London where ghosts are real, deadly, and only teenagers can fight them. No capes, no giant CGI dragons, just gritty paranormal detective work, candlelit corridors, and a trio of young ghost hunters trying to survive the night while the government watches from behind desks. Ruby Stokes, Cameron Chapman, and Ali Haji Heshmati bring heart, humor, and a real sense of scrappy desperation as they build an agency with nothing but talent and stubbornness. It's stylish, atmospheric, and surprisingly emotional. The kind of YA fantasy adults secretly binge. And even though it lasted just one season, it feels like a world fans are still hoping to revisit. Number 5. Kaos.
Mortals.
Chaos is what happens when ancient mythology gets dragged into the modern world, handed a martini, and told to behave, and absolutely refuses. This 8-episode Netflix series reimagines the Greek gods as insecure power players ruling over a society that's starting to question them. Jeff Goldblum steals every scene as a neurotic, aging Zeus terrified of losing control, while Janet McTeer, Cliff Curtis, and David Thewlis round out a cast of divine egos, messy mortals, and fate-twisting schemes. It's mythic chaos with corporate paranoia, dark humor, and a surprising emotional core. More biting satire than glossy fantasy. And while Netflix canceled it after one season, what we did get feels bold, strange, and completely unpredictable. If you like your gods powerful, petty, and falling apart at the seams, this is one worth diving into. Number 4. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. This is not the Pinocchio you grew up with, not even close. Guillermo del Toro reimagines the classic tale through the lens of grief, war, and what it truly means to be human. Set in fascist Italy and brought to life through stunning stop-motion animation, the film follows a grieving Geppetto, whose longing for his lost son leads to the creation of a wooden boy, unlike any you've seen on screen. What unfolds is a story layered with darkness, tenderness, and rebellion, where innocence collides with authoritarianism, and love isn't about transformation, but acceptance. The voice cast is stacked, the craftsmanship feels almost sacred, and the emotional weight sneaks up on you. It's bold, haunting, and achingly beautiful. A fairy tale reshaped into something tragic, defiant, and deeply human. Number 3. Castlevania. There's a reason Castlevania became one of Netflix's first breakout adult animated hits, and still feels like a landmark in dark fantasy television. Over 4 seasons, this gothic epic transforms a simple video game premise into something brutal, poetic, and unexpectedly human. Set in a plague-ridden Europe, where faith falters and monsters stalk the night, it follows Trevor Belmont, Sypha Belnades, and Dracula's son, Alucard, as they fight to stop a war between humanity and the supernatural. What elevates it isn't just the breathtaking animation or bone-shattering action, it's the tragedy at its core. A grieving Dracula, a lonely Dhampir, a disgraced hunter trying to reclaim his legacy. Castlevania blends operatic violence, wry humor, and surprisingly tender emotional beats, proving adult animation can be mythic, mature, and unforgettable. Number 2. The Witcher.
True calamity upon us all.
Few fantasy shows have shaped the streaming era like The Witcher. From its debut in 2019, it delivered gritty monster hunting, tangled destiny, and a world where magic is as dangerous as steel. Henry Cavill's run as Geralt set the tone, brooding, deadly, and unexpectedly tender beneath the armor. Across 4 seasons, with one final on the way, we follow Geralt, Ciri, and Yennefer through war, prophecy, betrayal, and the collapse of kingdoms. The world expands, loyalties fracture, and power always comes with a price. With Liam Hemsworth stepping into the role and the series heading toward its conclusion, The Witcher remains a bold, ambitious, and emotionally charged fantasy saga. If you crave swords, sorcery, and complicated heroes, this one delivers. Number 1. Frankenstein. Guillermo del Toro has finally brought his lifelong dream to life, and Frankenstein has only been out for days, but critics are already calling it a masterpiece. This isn't just another monster movie. It's a tragic, poetic, soul-shaking epic about creation, obsession, loneliness, and the price of playing God. Oscar Isaac delivers one of his most intense roles as Victor Frankenstein, but it's Jacob Elordi's haunting performance as the creature that's stealing headlines and award buzz. With sweeping gothic visuals, heartbreaking emotion, and a score that feels like a prayer and a nightmare at the same time, this adaptation reimagines a classic with raw humanity and epic scale. If you love fantasy that hits you in the heart, this is required viewing. and the best Netflix fantasy release of the year. And there it is, Netflix proving it can still deliver fantasy that feels mythic, magical, and unforgettable. 10 worlds where monsters aren't always the villains, heroes aren't always the chosen ones, and imagination is the only real limit.
Who knows about this?
Now I want to know, which one are you diving into first? Tell me in the comments, I really do read them all.
Vampires, werewolves, witches, and everything in between.
We ain't got nothing to apologize for. We're faster.
And if this list helped you find your next escape into the extraordinary, hit like and subscribe. It helps more fantasy fans discover the worlds worth getting lost in. We will see you in the next one.